and that was the most beloved radio adaptation of Tolkien. But as beloved as it was, Brian Sibley kept getting one question over and over. Why did you cut Bombadil? Never mind the fact that most adapters cut Bombadil, and never mind the fact that he also cut Gildor and Quickbeam and Baragond and Imrahil and others, people only asked about Bombadil. So eventually Sibley decided it was time to bring Bombadil's story to the radio as well, as part of a new series of Tolkien adaptations called Tales from the Perilous Realm. This was broadcast in 1992, and most of the episodes were adaptations of non-Middle-earth stories of Tolkien, so while they are technically Tolkien adaptations and I could cover them, I know they're not actually what most of you are here for, so I'm not going to talk about the other episodes. Well, okay, I will say one thing about one of them. Brian Blessed plays Farmer Giles of Ham.
My name, in full, is Aegidius Ahenobarbus Julius Agricola de Hamo.
But as there was more time in those days, I'm simply going to call him Farmer Giles.
I love it, no notes. But two of the episodes, airing on September 6th and 13th of 1992, were called The Adventures of Tom Bombadil. This was something of a misnomer because these weren't actually based on the poem The Adventures of Tom Bombadil. Although if you want to hear an audio version of that poem, Tolkien himself read it, so there you go.
Old Tom Bombadil was a merry fellow. Bright blue his jacket was and his boots were yellow.
This, on the other hand, takes its name from the poem, but it's just an adaptation of the Bombadil episode of the text.
It's dark and damp.
Are the stories about this place true, Merry?
If you mean the old bogey stories about goblins and wolves and things of that sort, I should say no. But the forest is queer.
Now, this in theory could be slid right in where the chapters were deleted in Sibley's earlier radio program, even though the hobbits are voiced by completely different actors here. But there are two returning cast members, playing different roles. John Church, who previously played Gaffer Gamgee, now plays Old Man Willow, and Michael Hordern, who previously played Gandalf, now plays Tolkien himself.
As the heroes of this tale discover when they find themselves caught up in the adventures of Tom Bombadil.
It's a pretty solid Tolkien imitation. Better than either of the Soviet Tolkiens. Not bad for someone who didn't really understand his work.
We better be ready to face some new danger.
Doesn't sound dangerous. It just sounds nonsense.
Bombadil is played by Ian Hogg, and he's good, but come on, Brian Blessed was right there.
You know who I am? I'm Tom Bombadil. Tell me, what's your trouble? Tom's in a hurry now.
One of the reasons Sibley cut it from the main broadcast was it felt like too long a respite from the threat of the Black Riders. But if you're turning it into its own story, you really gotta amp up the conflict in what is otherwise the safest stretch of the story. So this plays up the couple of moments of peril in the House of Tom Bombadil.
Frodo, in a dream without light. A noise like a strong wind blowing, and on it was borne the sound of hoofs, galloping, galloping, galloping from the east.
Oh, riders! Black riders!
The nightmares the hobbits have on their first night are played pretty well.
Pippin, dreaming that he hears in the darkness. Branches, fretting in the wind. Twig fingers, scraping wall and window.
And Bombadil tells some of his own tale, which actually does draw from the poem The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, so that's a snippet of an actual adaptation of the poem within an in-name only adaptation of the poem, like all those movies that claim to be based on The Raven.
Moving constantly in and out of his talk was Old Man Willow, whose heart was rotten, but whose strength was green.
And this story involves being trapped by Old Man Willow, so, you know, even Bombadil's in danger.
Tom Bombadil, what be you a-thinking? Peeping inside my tree, watching me a-drinking?
And the incident where Bombadil takes the ring is played pretty sinisterly. First off, this version of Bombadil seems to regard the importance of the quest a little more than he does in the text.
Tom already knows something of your quest and of the perils which you face. 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky,
7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie.
He seems more aware of the weight of the quest, but he still treats the ring itself just as frivolously.
It's vanished! The ring!
Now, merry doll, no need to look suspicious. Here's the ring, returned, unchanged.
It casts an extra layer of doubt on how much Bombadil can be trusted, but it works because it's from the perspective of Frodo, who is under just enough of the ring's thrall to especially distrust anyone else with it.
What's the matter, Frodo? Annoyed with old Tom?
Something so perilous should not be treated lightly.
Frodo's internal conflict here seems to be portrayed by Frodo arguing with Tolkien in his mind.
Is it the same ring?
It looks the same. It weighs the same.
Or maybe his conscience takes the voice of Gandalf.
They can't see me.
There's a seeing look in old Tom's eyes.
I'm invisible. It's my ring, all right.
It's the ring, the one ring.
Then, of course, there's the main source of peril from the text, the Barrow Downs.
Where are you?
I am waiting for you.
No.
Oh. Tall, like a shadow against the sky, leaning over me. Eyes, cold. Icy touch, strong, colder than iron.
Yeah, it's good and creepy, and Tom comes to the rescue, casting aside any lingering distrust we may feel of him, and he guides them through the rest of the forest.
Whoa there, my hearties. There, ahead. The road you must travel.
The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can.
Well, we're back to a non-musical Road Goes Ever On, I guess.
Old Bilbo used to say, "It's a dangerous business, Frodo, going out of your door."
Yeah, you already said that in the previous radio show. Well, Ian Holm, as you said it.
I'm sorry to take leave of Master Bombadil.
Yes.
He's a caution and no mistake. I reckon we may go a good deal further and see naught better nor queerer.
While it takes a few minor creative liberties with presentation, it's mostly a fairly faithful adaptation of the Bombadil chapters in the text that can be sought out if you like Bombadil and ignored if you don't. It's like the audio equivalent of if Jackson had made a Bombadil short film for the DVDs. 11 years later with different actors. So it's cool that it's here for the people whose primary complaint about the 1981 production was the lack of Bombadil. Now throw a bone for the Imrahil Hive, okay?
At your service.